Before we dive into today's episode, I got to give a big shout out for Open Fortune for bringing us out to ICE. They are one of the best companies for the innovative marketing, going in 100,000 restaurants, 25 countries, making the fortune cookie the real Trojan horse of marketing. Thank you, Open Fortunes, for making today possible. Welcome back to CMO Weekly, the podcast where we explore the stories and strategies of the world's top marketing leaders and C-suite execs. Today, we are thrilled to welcome David from Spribe, the visionary founder of the software development company behind one of the most iconic games in iGaming, Aviator. Since launching in 2018, Spribe has redefined the online gaming experience, and Aviator has become a game changer in the industry, captivating millions of players worldwide with its innovative design and unique approach to gameplay. Under David's leadership, Aviator has not only reshaped player expectations, but also set a new benchmark for game development in the iGaming world. Its success is a testament to David's ability to think beyond the norm, leveraging cutting-edge technology and a deep understanding of player behavior to create something truly revolutionary. Before founding Spribe, David's career was already marked with remarkable achievements. He served as first Deputy Minister of Economy and Sustainable Development in Georgia, where he oversaw strategic initiatives, large-scale privatization projects, and foreign investment efforts that significantly boosted the country's economy. This background in leadership and strategy laid the foundation for his entrepreneurial success. In today's episode, we'll dive into the story of behind Aviator, what inspired it, how it became a global sensation, and what it means for the future of online gaming. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you?
Great. Well, how are you?
I'm so stoked to have you. You have such an interesting background, very different from the guests that I've had on earlier today. But tell me a little bit about growing up and, what your dreams were and career ambitions.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
So let's start that I'm originally from Georgia, from country Georgia, which is in Eastern Europe. And, when I was growing up, we really had difficult times in Georgia,
Sure.
On the brink of the Civil War, all these things. And then somehow, I managed to get this scholarship at Kutztown University of Pennsylvania. It's a small university.
It's funny. I'm actually familiar with Kutztown because I'm from New York, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah, it's nearby. Yeah. And I was so blessed to have this opportunity to come to the United States. Back then, there was nothing.
Yeah.
Literally.
What were your expectations of the U.S.? And then how did reality match up with them?
So
at least at that.
To be honest, yeah. To be honest, U.S. really changed my life in many ways. And right now, I'm actually giving back to Kutztown. So the story is the Kutztown gave me a scholarship before.
How'd they find you?
I mean, it's crazy. There was one person, Cliff Jones, who was a secretary of education of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And he was teaching in Georgia. And I was going to the U.S. Embassy funded school. Basically, it was a school where I was going to. And I met Cliff Jones. And he said, David, I want to help you out. How can I help you? I said, I want to go to the United States because back then we were power outages,
sure,
no internet, internet was only in the libraries and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he helped me to literally by email, by Yahoo. I fill out the application, I send it and doomed. And for me, it was a great deal because I was broke, with $2,000 in my pocket.
Sure.
I sold my car, I remember. And then I went to the U.S. And it was an amazing experience because when I came to, it was completely different, living on the dorm, having this nice library, gym, all these good things back then. And most importantly, mentality, That's when I shaped as a human being about about the life and many, many things. It was very inspiring, even though it's a Kutztown, small town, it was very inspirational.
It's like an Amish country.
Yeah, it's an Amish country, but it was a great time of my life. And then I remember that when I was living, I got full scholarship, assistantship, and I said, one day when I, make it, I will have to come back. And it took me 20 years or more, but now I went back to Kutztown, and now we're, having a talk with the Kutztown, so I give back, to, I will be a donor, large donor also, not a small donor, so other students can go and study, so
and have the opportunity.
Yeah, that's the story about. And I loved I have two children. Both of them are U.S. citizens. They were born in the U.S. And since then my life is very tied with the U.S. I was just there for a month, New York and Vegas.
That's an amazing story.
And now the good part also is we, going back to the company now a little bit about Spribe, we are licensed or certified in more than 50 countries in counting. But the biggest achievement now we were awarded the New Jersey license, which is great, for us because we are entering now the U.S. market.
Is that the first state?
Yeah, it's the first state.
Yeah.
It's very bureaucratic, in the U.S. I mean,
Yeah, it's
the process is like so painful and long. But yeah, we'll see how it's gonna go. But Aviator really changed the online gaming industry. I can share also some numbers, which is mind blowing.
Yeah. I want to hear too, before we get into Aviator, because I really, really want to get into it. But what did that experience in the US teach you that you bring into your career daily?
Well, I mean, first of all, it was like the biggest one was the free thinking, like liberal thinking, like be your own boss. You have to plan. I mean, not like in Georgia. In Georgia it was different, because it was part of the Soviet Union still. I mean, we're not, obviously, we're an independent country, but Russia's influence was big back then. Even now, maybe it's in some ways. So for me, it was like free thinking. It was the biggest one.
Sure.
To be independent, to you can do whatever you want. That was the biggest thing what I found in US, because you are your own boss.
Yeah.
Because everybody has their own
Entrepreneurship is very rewarded.
The rest is, you can be a depressive person that always tries to find negative things, but you can be positive. And when you find good things in life, I am a positive guy. I always try to find for good things in life. And in US, when I was in Pennsylvania, I was always, on this hype. I loved it. It was. I would travel to New York on weekends. It was amazing. Bus, it was $17 one way. And just you are in New York, and it's great city also.
So that's so great that you got that opportunity, and really was a turning point in the right direction. I know you went back to Georgia. You did some amazing work there, especially in like the economy and sustainable development part. How did that transfer to iGaming? Right? What was that path?
So when in Georgia there was a revolution 2004 where new president came. A lot of good reforms happened. Whatever is Georgia developed during that time. And they were calling all the successful Georgians to come back. I was working for the, insurance company in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
So I decided to go back. I was not married back then.
Sure.
So I decided, why not to try? And I was really successful at a very young age. I was first deputy of minister of economy of Georgia. I was chairman of all the government enterprises. We were doing a privatization process. It was very interesting. It was the first open privatization process in history where we would just have open bids, fair, fair product, everything. So, but I've done many things, but I was always an entrepreneur, person. I always liked them, but I worked for the government because it was great experience. I served my country. But then, I decided I want to be, an independent businessman.
Sure.
So obviously we started with very small. I had many businesses, like restaurants or, even bar, like a club or, we had first laser hair removal centers in Georgia. I've done many things, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
We could talk forever, but it's amazing that you have all these things. What was the back of the napkin idea behind Aviator and just your first experience with the gaming space, right?
Yes. So what happened 6 years ago when we came to, by the way, this time, 2019, this time in February, this exhibition was in London, Londonized. I came to London with my partner with one iPad and zero knowledge about the industry. I knew nothing about the industry. Zero. Now we're the biggest one in the industry. We're the most influential company now. I'll tell you why. But back then I knew nothing. But I just have this vision that we can do something great, And by the way, we didn't even invent Aviator as a game. Game was, the mechanics were there before. We just made it better, we made it user experience better, more playable. Yeah. So when we came, I was showing the game. I literally have no meetings, in exhibition. I would approach the stands with an iPad and say, hey, my name is David. can you see this game? I have this new game. I believe we only had one customer in Georgia, and that's it. We just somehow managed to put this game on one of the websites.
What was the first big break then?
Well, first when we launched it in Georgia, it immediately was a hit. And I was sitting in Georgia thinking, if it works in Georgia, why can't it work in everywhere else?
Yeah.
So, but when we would come here, people laugh at me, say, David, you don't understand. Go back, work for the government. It's not your business. But I believed in my, in the game. So we started slowly. Now the Aviator is a crash game industry. Now we created the crash game industry as a whole. Plus, we have 42 million monthly players, 42 million. We have 350,000 bets every minute. Now we're talking every minute, 350,000 bets every minute.
Individual bets.
Yeah, individual bets. So Aviator is a multiplayer game, right? So these people betting at the same time.
Sure.
So we have 350,000 bets, and the wager. Usually when you talk about success of any iGaming company, you should talk about the wager. Wager is how much stake people bet on your game. So I can say that I decided to open these numbers also. Last month's wager for the global game Aviator globally was 14 billion with a B, 14 billion. So this is how much? Yeah, just last month. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah,
that's incredible. I think that's
so this is how much people bet globally. So obviously, this is close to our partners. We have 5,000 operators now around the world.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, it's great, and we're growing. And now, when you start the casino business, you have to have Aviator. If you don't have Aviator, either your existing business or your new one, you need to have. So that's why we are so influential in a good way, because we create so much business for our partners as well. Because it's win-win. It's not only us, making all this great results,
spreading the wealth.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's amazing that you really created an industry, right? Within an industry. I've been aware of the UFC partnership for a couple of years now, and I saw on your LinkedIn that you just expanded it. Congratulations. Why was the UFC the right partner for you?
So I think, first of all, let's start. I love Dana White I didn't know him. Now I know him very well, but back then, and he was very inspirational to me. So he started UFC from nothing.
Yeah.
And he made it and it's very similar to Aviator also, because we also now dominating the space. Obviously, we have some competition, but most of the companies are very small compared to us.
Sure.
So it's like in fighting industry, UFC, it dominates right now. Plus, it's very similar by nature. Like it's quick. It's I think Aviator and UFC, they are very similar in spirit. So it's
a fight.
Yeah, it's fight, and in Aviator, you are your pilot. You control your destiny. You fly high with Aviator. Basically, it's very similar, and it's fast also, and it's cash out. So it's cool. So I think, and we did a great, because we have great ambassadors like Pereira. Natroshvili. Natroshvili. And I mean, it's been great success for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Expanding the partnership, right? Like, what did you see that was so successful about that initial partnership that made you want to even go bigger with the UFC?
Yeah. So we initially started with 1 year, but we were only selected, selected fights, in octagon. Now we're gonna be the all fights, everywhere. And I mean, I think it's usually very difficult to say what exactly helps the business in it, but I think it's a combination of everything. So I think UFC is a big part of our success.
Yeah.
Even though we're growing every month we're growing.
Yeah.
But I think UFC brought a lot of exposure to us.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that's a good thing. So I really hope that we can expand the partnership. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. And then talk to me about the future of Aviator. Where do you see it going, and how do you see new technology coming into play to really amplify the experience?
Yeah. I mean, I think that I think Aviator will grow because the crash games are growing in general. People enjoy the crash gates because of the mechanics. So I'll explain. When you take any slot game, regular slot game, press the button, it spins, you win or you lose, right? With Aviator, you manage when you want to cash out. You are a pilot, you are a decision maker.
Yeah.
So this is completely different mechanics. So with players enjoy. I mean, they get completely different feeling by playing Aviator. So it will grow. Before it was just millennials. Now it's grown like I think to all the different types of players. So I think the future is bright.
Yeah, it definitely is. If you were to look back, give your 20-year-old self any advice,
Wow.
when your back it cuts down, what would it be?
Buy Bitcoin, man.
Yeah.
I was not Bitcoin.
Free. It's but $8 bus tickets we going that way. And he's making the night.
Just buy a lot of Bitcoin.
Buy a lot of Bitcoin. It's funny. That's not when I asked this question. There's been a couple of people who have said that.
Yeah, I mean,
because that is the right answer.
It was funny. I was sitting there and searching for Bitcoin. I remember I was doing research, but then it just like slipped.
And you're like, this man, he's not gonna do anything. I'm a pro college kid. Awesome, man. Well, that was awesome. Let's hit the quick question round and we'll get you out of here. All right. We're going to hit the quick question round, sponsored by Open Fortune. All right. So we're just going to, first thing that comes to mind, first thing you most want to sit down to dinner with, dead or alive?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Favorite city in the world?
New York.
Is it okay to sleep with socks on?
Sorry?
Is it okay to sleep with socks on?
What do you mean? I don't know.
Sleep with socks?
Without
socks.
Yeah.
In 40 years from now, what would people be nostalgic for?
About being young, I guess.
Being young.
Yeah.
Top 3 CEOs right now.
Anyway, for sure. Elon Musk, for sure.
Yeah.
Enemy.
There you go.
No, really.
I'd say I believe it. One thing people don't understand about your job is
how it works. I mean, it's a different sector, and people usually don't get how it works, like how the system works till the end.
What's the best advice you've ever been given?
I think be yourself. That's the best advice.
What's the worst advice you've ever been given?
Don't buy Bitcoin. That's the worst one. I got this advice, but yeah,
I've gotten that advice so many times. And lastly, where can we catch you, David, in 10 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, we have a great plans. We will. I mean, I want to list the company. That's my plan. Spribe Aviator on London Stock Exchange, and I want to create a big group. Then going to the different sectors. Like I have some ideas, So we'll see.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm excited to see it happen. David, thank you so much for joining us, man. That was great.